Hey, everybody. This is Steph, the Educator. I am bringing you another episode of Essential Pedagogy. And what that means, if you haven't tuned in before, is um, pedagogy means the science and art of teaching and educating others. Yay! So I thought of this name because of over the pandemic, they kept calling us as educators essential. And I thought it would be a good name. Essential Educator was taken because I thought that was very memorable, but it was already taken for trademark. And so I decided to do Essential Pedagogy. Anyway, I am here because guess what, y'all? School is around the corner. I am getting ready to start teaching my students next week on the 10th. I live here in Texas. And so we're getting ready to start school. I know other districts across the country aren't going to start until Labor Day or right before Labor Day. But look, we start early in Texas. It's real hot, y'all. I mean, y'all pray for us. Pray for us. Uh, Look at that production. Give a hand to my production. Give a hand to my production. They're so sweet. All right. So I have a special guest. Her name is Melanie. She is a professional educator. Of course, I only have people who are parents or educators or experts in their area to speak on my podcast because I just feel that it is necessary to bring experts and people who know what they're talking about on the show. Melanie has had probably over 15 years of education under her belt. She has tutored for my tutoring company, which is Time and Attention Tutoring. Yay! Melanie, what I found, I work with her and we become fast friends in the industry because Melanie taught science, she taught math. Now you're teaching what, social studies now?
Social studies, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Everything. I've taught everything.
Everything rooted to the tutor. So she is an expert. And what I found with Melanie is, you know, people on my team, as far as tutors, I do not employ tutors who have not been professional educators or are not educators because they just do not have the same type of patience or approach, the pedagogical approach that I feel like is needed for students. Some companies have tutors that are college, you know, attendees or college graduates or things like that, and they just don't have the training needed to bring out the best out of students. So I choose educators, professional educators, and what I found is that, oh my gosh, Melanie is one of the most patient people out there. Like, if she stays so calm and she's so organized, I just really appreciate her approach. But today's show is going to be about back to school and some of the things that you may need to know about back to school, as well as just some of the things that teachers go through at the very beginning of the school year. So, without further ado, I want to introduce to you Melanie Bacon. She is an awesome lady.
Thank
She started her career in Mississippi,
No,
and
I
I
started here.
you started in Texas. Oh my
started in
gosh! But
Texas.
you did go,
I
you
go back. I
did
went
teach
back.
in Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you went back and then you came back.
Yes.
You went to Mississippi, then came
Uh-huh.
back
Then came
to
back. I
Texas.
moved to Texas 3 times.
Well, guess what? Look,
The,
you stuck on Texas.
no, the next time is the last time. I'm gone. That's it.
Oh no,
Yeah.
no, you got to stay here. You got to stay
It's too
here.
hot. It's too hot.
So
Too
I
hot.
just want to talk to you, Melanie, and just talk to me about some of the things that you do to prepare your life and your classroom for the beginning of the school year. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Actually, I just like my room to feel like a home. I mean, I'm not a decorator. You know, some teachers you go in and it's all decorated and it's beautiful and it's elaborate. Like I like nice stuff, and we have things that are centered for the kids. But it's basically just a home feel. This is home. This is a safe place. This is I feel comfortable here. That's how I go in with my classroom. I always try to make them feel like they're part of that space. That's my goal, and they feel like that normally.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I wish I could have that, that flair. Like some teachers, you go and it's like, oh my God, it's beautiful. I don't have that, but I do have this is home. That's what I want for my kids. Just that place is always going to be clean. We clean up and things like that. Everything's going to be neat. And, I put things on the wall, things that I try to find things that are relevant to children because as adults, we try to just think about us, but we have to think about their age also when we were 13 and 14 or whatever age that you teach. And it's a different game now. It's a different way of life. The things they even talk about or even know about are things we didn't even care about. We never even thought about those things. A lot of it is social media. So
Yeah.
it's just a
Yeah.
different world.
So I want to talk to you because what I noticed about your classroom is it has a great scent.
Yes.
You keep it very organized and clean and orderly. Not all teachers are like that. I know I'm kind of a disorganized chaos kind of
Yeah, I can't
person,
do chaos.
but
I'm a
you are
Virgo.
very,
We
very
can't do
organized.
chaos. Virgos can't do chaos. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, what are some of the things that you do to prepare yourself for an organized classroom in the
I have
beginning of the year?
bins, containers, like everything has a place. Everything belongs at a certain place. And so when I get in my classroom, because of course, they'll move you around or you never know what room you may be in, of course. And you just make sure everything has a place. And the kids know where these things are. You know where the pencil sharpener is. You know where to put the dictionaries. You know where to put your journals. You know where to put everything has a place. So that's just my thing that everything has a place. Everything where it is. And we use everything.
Mhm.
So just a place for everything. That's it. And like, wait a minute, before the bell rings, we're gonna clean up this area. Like, you're not gonna leave my room like that. So they know that, like, they have to clean up behind themselves. And if they do happen to skedaddle out of there and I didn't catch them, I will go to the room and bring them back. Like, you're gonna clean that up. And so they know that.
I like that. You tend to run your classroom like you mean
Yes.
business.
Yes.
Like,
All
you know
business.
what I mean? I
Mhm.
feel like the no matter if you are a very great decorator or whether you have more of a streamlined, minimalistic type of way of organizing your classroom, what really matters most is that you mean business and that you have procedures in your class and you let students know how things are run in your classroom.
Yes. Yes.
How do you get that across to your students?
I think it's just, it's just you start from day one. It's just a routine. It's like your own kids. You train them, right? Like we expect kids to know. Like if nobody's in my room, I teach them that first off. I always leave my door open. If you come to the door and you don't see me in there, you don't enter, and not for any other reason because you never do that anywhere else. You never enter when there's not an adult because who's the witness? Who if somebody else could come in and then too much could happen. So
Mhm.
you never enter my room. So if you open my door is open and you don't see me, you just wait, and I teach them that from the first day. They know never enter my room if there's not an adult in there. If I'm not in there, if there's not any adult in there, don't enter my room. And they'll stand there and
Yeah.
they'll wait. They will wait.
Yeah. But you have to train them to do that.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, we have a listener that asked about how do you mentally prepare for the first day of school? How do you ensure you're mentally ready?
Well, you know what? Actually, I don't prepare anymore. This is actually my 17th year certified. 17 years I've
Ah,
been certified since
oh my God.
2006. So,
Oh
but
my
mentally, yes, yes, yes. Uh, I just know mentally I prepare myself because I'm there for a purpose. Because I have tried to leave education. You Stephanie knows so many times. I know I've tried to leave education twice. Like I'm done with education. I never want to go back. I'm like on the pavement searching, trying to find another job. God always makes me go back. He always
God.
makes me go back. And it's something I haven't finished it. And I love teaching. I love the kids. The kids love me. I've been in weddings. I'm always invited to church or parties and things like that. My kids will find me, and I don't do social media, so they're like stalkers and they're looking for me if I see them in public. Yeah, they'll find me. But
How they find you, Melanie? How do they
I
find
don't.
you?
They'll Google my name and like it pops up where I work, and they'll send me an email at
Oh
school. Yeah, or
my
they'll call
gosh.
school, be like,
I
"Hey,
mean, they are working hard to find you.
yes, yes." So I go in knowing, okay, God, just whoever I'm supposed to help this year, just let me help them. You know, whatever I'm
Yeah.
supposed to do. That's my mentality because I know I'm there for some purpose. It's something that I'm there for. And it's not just for me, it's for the kids. And I do have those moments where I feel all, euphoria, like I get it. I get it. This is what I'm here for. But those days are few and far in between. But mentally, that's how I prepare because I know I'm there to help them. Like you said, I work with a purpose. My purpose, I know, is to help them. And I want them to understand education. See, you can't appreciate something if you don't value it. And if we don't value it, we can't appreciate it. We can't appreciate it. And so this next question, I only interact with my students after they're adults. They have to, they find me at 18, 19, 21. My student that found me and I was in her wedding, she's about 25 now. And she found me like a few years ago, but they have to be adults. Like no kid that was still in school tried to find me. So, but I think it's
Yeah.
after they grown and maybe the things I say because, we have talks about real life. I tell them the truth about things. They remember that. I ran into one of my students. He worked at the bank and he was a grown man and he was calling my name and my daughter was small at the time, maybe two. And I said, I don't know this man. I kept walking. And I said, wait a minute. He knows me, obviously, because he's calling my name, right? Miss Bacon, Miss Bacon. He's calling my name. And so I turn around and he's telling me, oh, I just remember all the stuff you used to tell us. I remember, things you said, but I really didn't remember him because, they're like grown at this time. My first class I taught,
Mhm.
they're about 31 now. So these are grown men and women now that don't look the same when they were 13. So I don't
Oh
remember
no.
all of them. So
Yeah.
it's those things. I never had any minors find me, just
Yeah.
adults, the adult kids. They do come find me and look for me.
Well, that means you've made an impact on a life, right?
Yes.
This summer I had the pleasure of going to a birthday party of a student of mine and his wife. She was my student as well. And he has a 2-year-old. I went to their birthday party. I'm like the honorary godmother
Yes.
of their of their child, and I'm the only one that speaks English. Um, in that only speaks English. Everybody else speaks Spanish and English or just Spanish. And he told me, which made me almost cry. He was like, "You were the most influential teacher I've ever had," and he's a junior in college. And he's older in college because he is non-documented
Mm,
and he has to pay as if he's an out-of-state student.
yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
so it's taken him a little bit longer to get through, but I'm invited to birthday parties.
Yeah.
And it almost like I wanted to cry because I was like, really? He's like, yeah, I still take Cornell knows how you taught me. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, it it's amazing. Like we go through a whole lot, but it's amazing how one or two or three or five, you've made an impact on
Yes.
their life
Yes.
to where it affects their trajectory, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So he's in the engineering program at Dallas Baptist University. And one day I hope to have him on the podcast so you guys could talk to
That would
him
be nice.
and see that. Yeah, but it's interesting how they will hunt you down. Like, I'm on social media, but
Yeah.
I know you're not, but
No.
they will hunt you down. They will
Yeah.
hunt you down wherever
Yeah.
you are and find you and be
Yeah.
like, look, I need you to, that you made an impact on my life. So all of that is worth it. All of my 10,000 steps I take because I have to get out my anxiety at the beginning of the school year, my 10,000 steps a day. I got to get that anxiety out because, a teacher friend of mine told me it's like you're going to war.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You don't know what you're going to get. You don't know
Yeah.
what you're going to come up against. You don't know what kind of challenges you're going to face, what kind of, opposition you're going to face. And every day is a different day, a new day, but you got to be ready. And so it's kind of like, being in the military, you just got to be ready. You
Yeah.
got to be ready for anything. And it's a grind. It's an
Yeah.
everyday thing. So
Mm-hmm.
anytime I feel like people volunteer, you need to volunteer for a week or two, not just a day, so that you can understand what it means to get up and people, as soon as you get to open the door, people are saying, hey, I need I need this homework or that homework or this worksheet or this, or as soon as you walk in, you're like, my goodness, I just got in the building. Can I take a
Yeah,
seat?
no, you don't have a yeah. No, you better eat your breakfast in the car on your way to work. Because once you get there, it's like nonstop. There, yeah, they need something. Somebody needs something. Somebody wants something. And if it's
Yeah.
quiet, you better go see what's going on because they should not be quiet. It shouldn't be any quiet going on.
It
Wait a
should
minute,
be
quiet.
quiet in the schoolhouse.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let me see
right.
what's going on
Yeah. So it says how many kids are assigned to a room teacher. Like, that depends.
on your
Like, I
district.
want to, yeah, on your district, on what grade level you teach. I
Yeah.
teach at I guess, a smallish to medium sized district, and I have about 25 students per class, and I have 5 classes plus an advisory class. An advisory class is not something I teach it, but it's not a core class that I teach. Like, I teach science, but advisory is like character education, how to recognize emotions,
Hmm.
stay
Hmm.
away from drugs, these kind of things.
Information.
Yeah, information like, this is what announcements we're going to make about field trips or up and coming things that's going to happen in
Hmm.
your near future. So that's how we handle like nuts and bolts of what's going on with school is during advisory. And we also do a lot of character ed and some social education type classes. So Melanie, how do you handle do you guys have that at your school, like an
Nope.
advisory time?
Well, we do have. Wait a minute, we do have. Let me think. In the mornings, we do, but not like that. It's more of like a open mind, of enrichment, things like that. Just discussions, just kind of thought questions and things like that to start the day off. But we don't really have.
And I feel like that is like you know how people have talked about circle groups,
Yeah,
and
things
you know
like
what I
that.
mean?
Yes,
Just the building of bonds to prevent,
yes,
bigger problems in the school. So
we
I
do.
feel like
Yeah,
that, yeah, y'all do that.
yeah, we do
Okay.
more of that in the mornings and have morning opening and things like that. But we don't have like
Set
just that.
advisory.
Mm-mm. Our minutes, they have to, we make them they work, they're
Yeah, you
doing
got
something every minute. They're
every
busy.
I mean, but like, it matters to have character education. Sometimes
Yeah,
kids don't get that at home.
that's
It's
true.
such a survival environment that they do not get a like, okay, you say please and thank you.
Yeah,
You
that's the difference now.
know what
That's
I
the
mean?
difference with education. I think that the teachers and the parents are most, not a lot. I mean, some of them are. Some parents are like, they get it, but a lot of parents, I would say, not all, but a large percentage, they're friends with their kids. A lot of them want to be friends with the kids, and that's the biggest problem. Like I say, it's not all. I have a lot of parents that are not like that, but we have a good percentage of parents that are, and then I get it though. But you know, the kids are receptive to whatever you try to teach them. They after you get through that barrier, they're receptive. And the parents, I've never had a parent to like say ugly things to me or think that I didn't have ill, that I had ill will toward their child. They all say, I know, you mean well. I appreciate you calling. I'm the contact. Like I'm going to call the parent. I'm going to talk to them. Let them know what's going on. Like where I stand. Like I've been teaching 17 years, and this is what happens. They are all very receptive of that because I'm not going to treat your child any different than I treat mine, and the expectations are the same. Like we come in here to work. That's what we came for. Just like when you go to church, you go to pray. When you go to the movies, you go to watch the movie. When you go to a restaurant, you go to eat. When you come in this classroom, you come to learn. And so until when you're coming to do that, that's what we have to set our mind for every day. Every day you come in this room, you come into work. So I make sure the parents know that and the kids. And I can say after 17 years, I have maybe had one parent that had something to say about me telling his kid something like what to do or like you're going to obey. But other than that, I can honestly say in 17 years, I have not had issues with parents. I have, when they changed everything for the state, and I used to be in special ed, and they changed the testing criteria. They said, oh, you got to get all your parents to agree. All I had to do was call my parents, and they said, it's okay? I said, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. You have my permission. Do what you need to do. Yeah.
So what's the biggest impact you plan to make in kids' life that you teach for the school year? What's your goal?
My biggest plan, I want them to know that everything is attainable. Like, see, I think I think our students get so bogged down about the lack. And no matter what the lack is or what the surplus is, you still, not saying you're not going to have difficulties. If you have lack or you have surplus, you're going to go through some things. So we talk about getting over those things, doing better than we did yesterday, and just being a better person. That's the goal I want them to have, that if you keep pushing, you'll get there. You will get there. And that's my goal. That's my goal every day. Like, you're not teaching for a test. I'm not teaching for a test. I'm teaching for your knowledge, because anything that doesn't grow is dead. And so you learn from any and everybody. You can learn from the janitor, the custodian. You can learn from anybody. You respect everybody. That's one thing I practice, because a lot of times we feel like if somebody is on the street, they're homeless, or they're a custodian, they're beneath me. No, everybody deserves your respect. And that's one thing I tell them from the beginning. We talk about those things. You're not better than anybody. Don't ever let me hear you being disrespectful to a cafeteria worker or a custodian or anybody. I will check you right then. So we respect everybody. And that's my goal, to make us a better person. Just overall, our kids don't even know how to interact with each other anymore. They can't even interact with each other. They don't even know how to say, hey, how you doing? I saw kids at a game, because my daughter's in 9th grade, right? The kids will walk up and hit each other. Hey, like, that's not how you greet each other. You don't greet each other hitting each other. And we don't even know that anymore. We don't even know the right things. The right things to do is just, we're gonna
socially,
socially, just we hit each other. And I've seen it just at different schools. They just hit each other. Hey, push it, and no, that's not what we do. You sit down. Hey, how you doing? What you been up to? What's going on? So that's my goal. Is just for us to be productive, to be respectful, for us to have an open mind, to not believe everything they tell us. You think outside the box. Always question some things that's told. And I tell them I don't know everything. And if I don't know something, I'll tell you I don't know it, and we can try to find it together. I would never say, oh, I know this. I'm like, I don't know. We'll look it up. Let's see if we can find it.
And sometimes I do know, and I will tell them I don't know, because I want them to be inquisitive enough to research. I don't want them to be dependent on someone else for an answer for something. I want them to be so independent that they take the steps that they need to in order to find an answer, because we're here to develop lifelong learners.
Yes, that's the goal.
Okay, so we have another question. What steps can parents and students take to prepare for the school year? What efforts can be made for students to be better in the classroom setting? Woo. First of all, go ahead, girl.
Knowing your purpose. I go back to that. That's my main thing. Your purpose. You have to know why you're there. I always give my students the analogy. If I give a baby $20, what is that baby going to do with the $20? They'll raise their hand. Oh, he'll put it in his mouth. He'll throw it in the trash. He'll tear it up. Yes. If you
Okay.
give a baby a comb, what does the baby do with the comb? Because the baby has seen his mother comb his hair. He takes that comb and he puts it in his head. Now, he might not put it the
Yeah.
right way, but he'll put it there. But he knows the
Mhm.
purpose because he's seen it. He's seen it. So, as parents, as family, as a unit, we have to sit down with our kids like, this is your purpose. My great grandfather could not read and write, but he could count money and tell time. I knew my purpose to go to school. My parents told me my purpose to go to school. You're going to go to school so you can learn and to be smart. And there's no even discussion about that. That's the expectation. And I think if we all collectively have that expectation to our kids, they will rise to that level. If that's our expectation, we have to sit down with them like, this is why we're doing this. Because if we cannot compete, see, we compete for jobs, not just in our little town, or our little city, we compete
With the
all over
world.
the metroplex and in the world.
Yes.
Yes.
In the
So
world.
you're gonna have to be able to produce. That's a job. No job keeps you. Nobody keeps you on a job if you can't produce. So that's
Yeah.
what we need to explain to them. You're going. This is why we're going. Not to make friends. Not to be funny. Not to for our head to be somewhere else. But we sit down and we prepare, and then you go home and you study and you read over your notes. And that's the first thing. Kids would fail the whole year if you gave them homework every night. They are not accustomed to going home and studying. They will go one way, the backpack goes the other way. They have to learn study habits, because if not, they can't make it in college, because you have two tests, the whole semester, a midterm and a final in most classes. And that's two. And if you don't do well on one, if you bomb one, I mean, it's downhill, but you have to be able to retain information. And that's
Yeah.
why I do keep the journals. I keep like contents. I give them entries. I keep everything in there. They keep it the whole year. They take it with them. They have to learn
Yeah.
how to study. They have to
It's
do
like
something
your
outside of
textbook.
school. They have
Yeah.
to do
It's like,
stuff outside of school.
yeah. You know what I think parents can do most with preparing their kids for school? I think the best thing that parents can do is be consistent. Be consistent with getting them home in a timely manner to where they can go and take their baths, showers, or whatever, load their backpack with whatever they need to load it with, and go to bed in a timely manner. I think if you can't do anything else, if you can't like formulate the best sentence and the best words to talk to your children, I think the best thing you can do is make sure that you're consistent with making sure that school is a priority. And that means getting them to bed at a certain time so they can be their best the morning that they arrive at school, making sure they have a nice breakfast to eat. If you can't do anything else, I think you can do that. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? You can set the precedence that school is a priority by saying, look, I'm not going to be at Walmart at 9 o'clock with third graders on a
Mhm.
Wednesday night in October. Me as a teacher, sometimes I'm at Walmart late at night trying to get supplies for my science classroom because I may have had a long night at school and then I got to Walmart late. It burns me up to see second graders at Walmart with their parents at 9:30 at night. It burns me up because I feel like we need to organize our life, parents, better so that you can get your kids in bed at a decent time so they can have a productive day at school. If they're too tired, if they you cannot keep up with all the emails and things and all the stuff that school throws at you. I know it's a lot. I couldn't keep up with it all because I'm an educator. I'm trying to keep up with stuff at my school. I couldn't always keep up with. I had two children that one was in middle school and one was in high school. So they had two different schools and two different sets of emails and two different
Mhm.
sign-ons and all that. I couldn't keep up with it all. But what I did is I was consistent and making sure that my kids had a routine where they were ready for the school day the next day, every day. It was hard, but that's the least you can do to show that you value education. You don't have to know all when the PTA dates are and the meetings. Don't stress yourself out. If you're working hard, especially if you're a single mother, and I am, a single co-parent, they have a father in their life, but a single co-parent, I feel like the best I could do was make them a hot breakfast and get them ready the night before for the next day. I mean, that was the best thing I could do. I don't know how you feel about that, Melanie, but I mean, give.
I agree. I agree. And the kids are old enough sometimes when they can delegate and work that out too. Like, hey, as long as it's there, they can fix it, especially when you get to a certain age. My
Yeah.
daughter, like I said, she's going to ninth grade. So she gets in there, she can fix her own whatever she wants, oatmeal or boil an egg and bacon and waffles. All those things are there and accessible. But, these
Yeah.
times are different, Stephanie. I sympathize. Some parents are just, I don't know. It's
They're
just
gonna
not
be in
there.
Walmart at 10 p.m. with a second grader. I just, Jesus,
But
I get.
that's why we have lunch at school. You come to school, you
Yeah.
get your lunch. I always kept
And
snacks in my
breakfast.
drawer. Anybody,
Yeah.
honey buns, they're welcome to them if they want them. The kids knew that they could come and ask for, the snacks if they needed them. Even if it's 10 o'clock and they say I'm hungry, because sometimes our kids don't eat till like 12:30, and if they have a snack, I'll let them eat it in class. But don't leave trash on my floor, and don't leave trash in the desk, or you dispose of it, eat it quickly and go, because you can't do any work if you're hungry. So I
Yeah.
understand all that. And it's a different era. We grew up in a different place where my mom was a stay-at-home mom. So yeah, she did get up and cook breakfast. She did everything. She cooked lunch, dinner, whatever. Would come to school if it got cold and bring me my coat. But everybody, it's different. I'm a single mother, and I wasn't able to get off my job if it turned cold to give my daughter her coat. But like I said,
Absolutely.
yeah, my daughter's at that age. She's been that way for now. When she was younger, of course, I would always fix breakfast. She would eat twice. She'd eat at home and at school. But
Right? My
yeah,
sons did too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, and I was so ticked off. I remember a time where I paid extra money to get a coat in my son's size, my oldest son's size, at the Gap to be sent to my house in a timely manner before it really got cold. And then he left it at school over the Christmas break. I said, "You just gonna have to go without a coat. Sorry." I'm so upset with you, like, for not being responsible. I was like, "You going without a coat? I'm not going up to that school. You going without a coat? I'm no." Like, I was so upset, Melanie. I was like, I paid extra shipping to get this shipped to us, like, in a timely manner, and you gonna leave it at the school over Christmas break? Like, are you kidding me?
he
Like,
was ready to
anyway,
go
so
home. He wasn't worried
he
about that coat.
was, he was, and I was like, "You're gonna be cold. You just gonna be cold." Just for 2 weeks, but but anyhow, I feel like that there's a certain amount of anxiety every year that educators go through, and it doesn't matter if you're a teacher or an administrator. Um, and I just want parents to know that it's a real phenomenon. It's a real observable fact that educators go through, and it's like we are getting ready for the most important moments of our lives. I know that a lot of other people outside of our profession don't feel that way, but I have talked to like hundreds of educators, and a lot of us are like anxious. We don't know what's going to happen um, day to day, but we have high hopes for what's going to happen. I'm here, and all educators that I interview are here to build compassion and share compassion with others, so that um, we all have successful school years.
Yes,
And
I
so
think it'll
I
be wonderful. I think, God's going to put whoever we need in our path to get whatever we need to give them. That's what I believe. And it is. I think it's just when you think about it, we're so anxious because you go from having a total relaxed 3 months to now, it's like a whirlwind. Our day when you go to school, it's like boom, 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 boom. Like you don't get a chance to sit down. You don't get a chance to sit down and eat your lunch and enjoy it. When you work at a regular job, because I had a job 9 to 5 where you had an hour lunch break and you could go to the mall and walk around and go to the restaurant and get you something to eat, or you could go walking on your lunch break. And even our planning period, we used to have meetings, and it may be something else we're doing instead of being in our room planning. Actually, like we need to, we're doing other things. And so it's like, if things just pile up, that's the real anxiety, because you're going from being laid back and just to now it's like, I got to get this done. I got to get this done. I got to get this done. So it's not.
And there's time. It's timelines. There's more timelines than I've ever had in any profession. Yeah. There's so many timelines with education. You got to get this in this a certain amount of time, and that certain amount of time. I mean, the calendar is busy.
Yeah. And then our kids have so many things too. We deal with so many emotional problems now from our students. After COVID, I'm telling you, things changed drastically. COVID did not do us any good for our education, for its emotional, for the kids. Kids just went through so much. They had people to pass away. They just had so many things happen during that year and a half. It was just, it hurt us. It didn't help us at all. And that has really, it shows us a lot. Like, even the ability for them to do homework, because during COVID, remember, nobody was really doing work. Like, some kids did, but a lot of kids didn't. Yeah, they didn't. They did not, and they tell you they didn't. They didn't get on screen. They didn't get online if they were doing virtual. And and so now we have to even get back to that. Just the routine of you sitting in class. This is what you do and doing your work. That is what I've seen over, like, especially last year, because the year before that, they even had some people kind of hybrid. They come in, they do virtual sometimes, and then whereas last year everybody was in the classroom. Just going back to that part, that you have to turn work in. You have to do the work. You have to turn it
in. So, Melanie, in closing, we want to talk about, like, what was the biggest lesson you have learned in education, and what is the biggest lesson someone has learned from you, you think?
I think in education, the biggest lesson I learned was forgiveness. Because remember, I started teaching, I was like 26. Right. And I was one of those people, if you did something to me, I just didn't deal with you ever again. But being a teacher, you can't do that. Kids are going to say stuff to you and rub you the wrong way. They're going to do stuff. And, I learned forgiveness. That's what teacher taught me. It's to, like, okay, I have to move on. Like, I've had kids, I almost had to, like, look, you're not going to debo me. Like, that's not what you're going to do. We like, hey, it's whatever. We get to that point. But those kids respect me because they kids smell fear. And if you are afraid of children, you cannot be a teacher. I tell anybody that if you are afraid of a child, you scared to lose your job, you can't be a teacher. You cannot be a teacher. But you cannot. But once they understand, like, I'm not playing with you, and it can go any way you need it to go, it can go that way. They understand, they respect that, and then we move on the next day. Some of those kids are some of my best kids. They are the best. I have such a good relationship with those kids. Almost all of the few that I've had to, like, come bump heads with. After that, we are fine. And they will say, they say, can't be a teacher nor a parent. I'm telling you, it's not for the lightweight. I'm telling you. I have teachers. I have seen young teachers get punked. Literally, they, like, in their desk, in the corner, scared, and kids are like Bourbon Street. They next door to me. I could hear them, like, beating on the walls and all kind of stuff. I walk in there like, what is going on? Like, the teacher just, like, scared. I'm not saying anything. And I'm like, if you don't get your behind off that table, I know better. And, so I've seen it. I've seen teachers get bullied. I have seen it. They are scared of the kids. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't care what happened in Miss So and So class. I'm not scared. Yeah.
So, like,
that's true. They're their parents too. The parents scared of their kids too. Some of them.
Sometimes their parents are more scared of them than we are. What is the biggest lesson that you think a child has learned from you?
I think think it's like to not give up. I don't, I'm not a teacher that shares my personal, all my personal life with them, but I do tell them, you go through trials and tribulations. I tell them that I have moved to Dallas 3 times. I've moved here 3 times, 2 times with a baby, and I tell them you just don't give up, because that seems crazy, right? Why would you keep moving somewhere 3 times? You know how much my family said, why you going back? What are you going back for? Well, that didn't make sense. And why would you do that? That things that doesn't make sense. But if it's in you to do it, if something keeps telling you to do it, you got to keep doing it. You got to keep trying. You got to keep pushing until you get to that point. I think that's what they will learn from me, that. And I am there. I do want them to be successful. I tell them all the time, if you come to my car with a bucket and a squeegee, we're going to have a problem. Because that's not what I get up for and come to work. If you come to my car, I'm going to put my car in park in the middle of the road and get out and be like, wait a minute, what happened? This not the plan. This is not what we discussed. What are we doing? How did we get here? And I tell every class that if you come to my car with a bucket and a squeegee, we're gonna have a problem.
Because I've tried to educate you.
Yes, yeah. What are we doing here?
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, good. Thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your service, because I serve right beside you. I honor what you do, and I wish you the best this year. I know you're gonna have a great year.
You're gonna have a great year. We're gonna finish strong, and we're gonna start strong, and we're gonna finish even stronger.
Yes, we are.
That's right.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate your time. And this is it for Essential Pedagogy for today. We'll see you back in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.